Here's what you'll need to know before solving your first Rubik's Cube. To start off, it's good to get a basic understanding of how the cube works. There are three types of pieces on a cube. The edge piece, which has two colors on it and goes in between the centers. The corner piece, which has three colors on it and goes in the corners here. The center pieces are attached to the core, meaning that they won't move at all. And you can take note that white is always going to be opposite of yellow, green is always going to be opposite of blue, and orange is always going to be opposite of red. That means no matter how much you keep spinning, the white center is always going to be opposite of the yellow center, the orange center is always going to be opposite of the red center, and the blue center is always going to be opposite of the green center. So the way we're going to start by solving a Rubik's Cube is by getting the white edges around the yellow center. So there are 4 white edges, and here's the yellow center. So we can get them all up like this, and this creates the daisy. And then after you have the daisy, you're going to insert them into the white centerpiece like this to get the white cross. So you see that all of these white edges are now attached to the white center and their colored centers over here. After you solve the white cross, the next step is to solve the white corners into where they belong around their centers using 1 to 2 short algorithms, which would look something like this. So that gets this corner, that gets that corner, this gets that corner, that gets that corner. The next step is to solve the middle layer edges, and we'll be using a combination of the same algorithms I'll teach later. So it would look something like this. See, that gets that edge, that gets that edge, and so on. After you've completed the first 2 layers like this, the next step is to get all of the yellow edges facing up towards the yellow center. This would be using a variation of the same algorithm I'll teach later. Once we've got the yellow edges facing up, the next step is to align all of the edges to where they belong. So this will be using a new algorithm, which I will teach later. And now that you see all of the yellow edges are aligned to their centers. The next step after that is to put all the corners in place where they belong. As you can see, this corner is technically where it belongs, but just twisted in place, and that's okay for now. So what you're going to want to do is to do a different algorithm, which I'll teach later. And then you'll see that all of the top layer corners are where they belong. Some of them are twisted, but that's the last step. So after that, you're going to want to rotate it so where the yellow is on the bottom, and you're going to want to repeat one of the algorithms I'll teach later until all the corners basically solve themselves, like this. So you see this is solved, we'll move it over. This is solved, we'll move it over. And then now, the cube is solved. So once again, this was just an overview. The full lessons will go more in depth.